Kia ora. Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 38 of Only a Podcast. Say hello, Captain.
Hello, Captain.
How you doing?
Episode 38.
I know. It only seems like 37, doesn't it, a couple of weeks ago?
Yeah. I don't know. We're all right, though. Everything's happening. It's all happening. No, it's not. It's really quiet. It's winter time, obviously.
It is.
Things are not happening.
Yeah.
But it is getting lighter in the evenings. So,
Good.
hooray
That's
to that.
That's a good thing. Right, as I was just saying to you before, so the day before we do a recording, I'm like, I haven't got much to talk about. Then on the morning we're going to do a recording, I start writing down all the stuff I've got to talk about. So it's another packed episode.
Yeah.
Packed, I tell you.
Packed.
I'll get straight in, shall I?
Go on.
Crumpet throat laceration.
Is that a new band?
Is that a full album, or is that an injury I suffered a couple of days ago?
This is where we put up the John Peel meme.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the new album from
Crumpet throat laceration. Yeah, from their 82 Peel session. So I had a bizarre injury a couple of days ago. So I was eating a crumpet. Get this, folks, in the UK, the crumpets over here are square. Imagine that. Square.
Oh, it's terrifying, isn't it?
It's good though. It's value for money. You can get round ones, but the square ones are. And they're sort of serrated down the middle, so you can break them in half and share them. Like I'm going to share a crumpet with anyone. So, yeah, my love of crumpets led to an injury. So it got a bit well toasted around the edge. So the corner was a little bit on the burnt side, And of course, me scoffing crumpets, I didn't chew it enough, did I? So I've swallowed the crumpet and it's literally cut the back of my throat. I may be the first to have a crumpet throat laceration. I don't know, but yeah. There you go. Bizarre injury. Had any bizarre injuries, folks? Let us know.
There was someone in the paper the other day who got a little bit of a bone stuck in the back of her throat. Oh. She went to the doctor's, and the doctor said, "Okay, go down to the supermarket and get yourself 4 litres of Coca-Cola and drink that." And she did, and it worked. And because it
dissolved it.
It's acid. It just basically dissolves the tiny bit of bone that was stuck in the back.
Imagine what it's doing to your hamsters. Yeah, there you go. So, that happened to me. Lots happened to me. I'm just going to crack on. I've got Taylor Swift tickets. I'm one of those. I'm one of those that managed to get some. I don't know anyone else that did. I know a lot of people that didn't. Yeah.
But you did have three computers.
I did, but I think that's quite normal. But the funny thing is I had 3 computers set up, each with like one browser open each. And I fired them all up like half an hour before the ticket office opening thing. And sat there for a couple of hours, probably, 2 hours maybe, nothing was happening. So I thought, I might as well just open a couple of extra browsers. So I did that. And then 20 minutes later, I got in on the last browser that I opened.
The new ones.
So it's not a queue at all, because that one's only waiting about 20 minutes. So I got in on that one.
Yeah, interesting.
I don't think it's a queue. I think it's a lottery. And I think if you join before it opens, you've got no chance. So my advice, is to join. But God, that's a joke, isn't it? I mean, 3. I'm not going, by the way. The wife and the kids are going. I'm not going. It's in another country, by the way, because she's not coming to New Zealand. And if she had been, she would have gone to Auckland or Wellington. So me living in the arse end of nowhere, I would have had to have got on a plane anyway, even to Auckland or Wellington.
Well, you have got a stadium with a roof, but she wouldn't.
Yeah, it's not big enough.
Too small.
I don't think we've got a big enough stadium in this country. So instead of flying to the North Island, I'm flying to Sydney with the family. I'm not actually going to the concert, but we are going to make a little holiday of it in February. It should be nice over there at that time of year. And my daughter is a huge fan of Taylor Swift, and the concert happens to fall on her 16th birthday. So that's her birthday present sorted, her Christmas present sorted, all future birthdays and Christmases and wedding all sorted.
Until she leaves home.
Up until,
or further than that even.
It's going to cost quite a lot of money, but it's all right. It's all right. It'll be nice. It'll be nice. So we're scraping together the dollars. We've got the flights booked now. Just got to get some accommodation. But the whole ticket thing, it's tough, isn't it, these days? But we won't go into that too much. So, I'll give you a couple more updates, and then you got a few more interesting things to talk about. I don't know if I mentioned this before, but I've got a new Saturday morning pastime.
No, that was new to me.
Here's a clue.
Sure, it'd be new to anyone.
I've got a whistle. I'm for those
you're a personal trainer.
Not watching. I'm a personal trainer. Look at me.
You're the Mr. Motivator of Dunedin.
I'm holding up a whistle. A referee's whistle, no doubts. So I'm doing a bit of refereeing for the kids' football team on a Saturday morning. I've done 3 of them now, and it's all right. God, it's a bit cold and windy last week, but it's fine. These are like 12 and 13-year-old girls, so they're terrifying. By no coincidence, after doing 3 refereeing assignments, I went to Specsavers for new glasses last week. I realised that my 6-year-old glasses, so I get new glasses as well. So doing a bit of that. And one more thing. So I was on a work team meeting, Zoom call thing the other day, and what you've been up to at the weekend, or I said, I've recorded a new podcast, and I said, I hope you're all listening to it. Oh, and Nicola, who works at my place, she kind of sets up new PCs and things like that, new laptops. She said, I use it for testing headphones when I'm setting up new laptops. So we have a purpose, it seems. I don't know if we should be charging for this service. I'll take it. Listen to listen. A hit's a hit, right? So more
than one.
Yeah. So thanks, Nicola, for listening, I think.
Speech.
Yeah.
Purposes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
cool.
You've got some more
I've got some more trivia and
in-depth stuff to talk about.
Small things, and I've got some in-depth things.
Yeah.
We just mentioned on the sporting front, the Tour de France is back. We're about 6 stages in.
Yeah, I just watched the highlights of stage 6. That was a belter, wasn't it? Oh.
Cracking stuff over here, folks. I think there'll be parts of the world where you don't get it. We get 10 minutes highlights every day on YouTube. Other parts of the world probably don't get that because you have to pay to watch, or if it's not on.
But it's for those in the UK, which is most of you listening. It's on ITVX. The highlights every day, because on the last episode you talked about the Netflix doco Tour de France Unchanged, and I went straight off and watched it after you recommended it, and I've binged it in a couple of days. Brilliant. It's really good. Yeah. So
we now know everything there is to know.
No, all there is to know. One thing I do know though, because I think I might have said before, I bought a road bike a couple of years ago, and since moving to this house a year and a half ago, which is up a hill. The road bike hasn't been out, and these Tour de France, they do the Pyrenees and the Alps and all that, but they couldn't get up my street.
No,
I'm sure they couldn't. So
there's some steep stuff around where you are.
Oh, the steepest street in the world is not far from me.
Indeed.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So it's quite. So I want to get my bike out. It's inspired me to get my bike out, but I know wherever I go, I've got to get up the hill to get back again. So might have to chuck it on the back of the car and drive down the hill and do that, because honestly I don't. I struggle to walk up that hill. Never mind ride a bike up it. Anyway, carry on. Sorry.
It's tough walking up Baldwin Street there, though. That's about a bit steep. You did a bit of sporting trivia. I spotted, and congratulations to Hannah Dingley. Who's Hannah Dingley? I hear you say she is the new interim head coach of Forest Green Rovers of League 2, which is the 4th tier of English football. Yep. And she stepped up from the academy, apparently, because Duncan Ferguson, the old Everton warhorse forward,
disorderly,
was dispensed with because he only won one of his 18 games in charge. So you can bet that people could do better than that, I think. And
I'll let you tell him that.
Yeah. Gosh, see you, pal. So Hannah Dingley, I should watch with interest how she gets on. You can imagine the England ladies coach, Serena Wiegman, making a great success of men's football. And more of it, please. It's cool.
It's great. I will be watching that closely. I've got a soft spot for Forest Green Rovers. What a great club. I should start following them a bit more, really. Good. Oh, and the Women's World Cup, the teams have started arriving, haven't they, over here?
They've started to arrive here, yeah. My next door neighbour is deeply involved in Eden Park, and he's absolutely exhausted at the moment. He's just died for it to begin. Been off arranging. I just want it to start now.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, we shall see. It should be some good stuff. Tickets not too expensive.
No, really good. I've got tickets for a couple of games.
$20 up to about $80, I think. So that's not bad. Like a tenner for the cheap stuff.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, good. Right. What have we got? Right. I've been watching things on the telly. I've been watching Gallows Pole, which is the adaptation of the Ben Byers novel, filmed by Shane Meadows, who did This Is England. There's been a rash of filming going on in the north of England, as we know. It may be that Sally Wainwright, who did Happy Valley and Last Tango in Halifax and one or two others, is entirely responsible for filming of Marvel's Secret Invasion in Halifax, folks.
Okay.
So Nick Fury and Samuel L. Jackson, who plays him in Yorkshire. What is that all? What's all that about? Anyway, there's a load of filming going. Even Peaky Blinders has been filmed up there. It tells. I missed that. You watched it, man, but
you should watch it. It's never too late.
So I've been getting into Gallows Pole because that's where my parents' house is, about a mile from Bell House, which is where David Hartley and his gang of ne'er-do-wells hung out. And I have one of the original books, which I've won as a school prize. Hooray! In the first year at grammar school. Clip a Bright Guinea, it's called, by John Marsh. And I'm reading it again, which allows me to grumble a lot about the TV adaptation of Gallows Pole, which is a fact-free zone. And also, as I read after I watched it, somewhat of a prequel to the whole thing. And because it is that, misses out a lot of the action that I was looking forward to, where they tangle with the excise men and start killing people and all other such things. The Gallows Pole prequel has a happy ending, for God's sake. When it went on to having much more drama after that. Will there be a series 2? I have no idea. There's much speculation that there might be, especially because some of the actors that were announced at the beginning haven't been in it yet.
Right. Okay.
But the thing that annoyed me about it most was not necessarily so much the modern language, but the modern use of it. If you think back to This Is England, a bunch of teenagers in that. And there's a lot of teenage faffing about in Gallows Pole to fill up an episode. There's one bit where the two major protagonists, David Hartley and his estranged wife, which is weird because she wasn't really estranged in real life, have a sort of teenage-style argument where they sort of go, well, you're sitting too close to me. Go away. You're sitting, go further away. You're sitting over there. I can still hear you. Doing all this stuff. I was thinking 5 minutes of this. I'm thinking, could you get on with the story, please? So it's 3 3-hour episodes. The scenery is great. There are some bits which get quite funny and engaged me once it's sped up. But basically 75 minutes of that 3 hours, nothing happens. But you learn that they're poor and they attend a wake of David's father and they have a few beers and they do a lot of swearing. And that's what kind of happens. So it takes 75 minutes with no preamble, no story, if you didn't know the story, you spend those 75 minutes going, when's something going to happen? Anywho, so that was that.
It's funny when they do that, isn't it? When you get a book adaptation go to TV. Because I remember a couple of years ago, The Luminaries, right? They did a TV. I was really looking forward to it because it took me ages to get around to reading the book. And I was reading the book and I was about halfway through the book when the TV series started.
Yeah.
So I thought, it'd be okay because it's on every week. So it's going to take 6 weeks so I will have finished the book by the time, I'll always be ahead. So I'm not going to get spoilers from the TV show. Well, they completely screwed with it, didn't they? With the timelines.
Yeah.
So the ending was happening in the first episode and it was, so.
I mean, the book shifted you about a bit, but I guess there's that kind of semi-mystical thing going on in that one. And also in Gallows Pole, I have to say, he is followed around by some spooky characters who are entirely in his head. So you see these 3 stag men, as they're called. They have large antlers and skull mask things going on long, raggedy robes and ghostly presences are about. And that's fair enough for a sort of tormented soul. But just a few too many minutes of it was spent waiting for something to happen or some.
Oh, it might be worth. So
clear.
So you're still waiting for the future episodes, are you? It's not happened yet. Not finished yet.
Were there to be a series 2, I would feel honour bound to watch it to see if it got more exciting and better.
So did you say it's 3-hour episodes?
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
3 1-hour episodes.
Oh, right.
3 1-hour episodes.
Yeah, okay. Fair enough.
Yeah. But it left a happy ending and everybody in the village is woo, yeah, great. Isn't what happened, folks. Anywho.
Okay.
Moving right along.
Moving on.
We thought we'd do, we put this down as a thing that we might do. So I thought, hey, I'll do one. And it's a complete works thing. If anybody wants to tell us about the complete works of any particular cultural
It's quite tricky, this one, isn't it?
Any kind.
Pretty tricky, this one.
It's pretty tricky. And I spotted one on my shelves because it's of manageable size, and hopefully I won't bang on too long about it. Excuse me. But
Stone Roses albums, is it? the
Lars. Works of Stone Roses. Complete works of the Lars, indeed. Yeah. No. It's not quite as barren as that in time and scope. I'm going to talk about a guy called Derek Raymond, who is best known for his Factory series of crime novels, and I have them all here in a pile. I'm not going to roll them up just yet. An interesting guy, and strange and terrifyingly interesting crime novels, which not everyone will have read. Quite hard to get hold of, I think. You can get pretty much all of the ones in the Factory series on ebook. But I was around in the 90s when these things came out in your actual proper books, probably out of print by now, I think. He was born Robert Cook in 1931, and he was an old Etonian who just faffed about for most of his life, really, and annoyed a lot of people until he became a writer. He dropped out at 17. He sort of did his national service, and then he sold a bit of lingerie down the market, and then he swanned about in Chelsea for a bit, not doing very much. And then he swanned around in Paris, and then he swanned around in New York, and he had a brush with crime, and he came back to London, and he wrote his first book about the kind of dissolute lounging around life that he knew, called A Crust on Its Uppers, and that was first published in 1962. So it was basically about posh people and not posh people in London and the kind of life they had. I have to say he collected ex-wives and children. As he moved on, he swanned about in Italy, and then he went back to France. For more detail about the phenomenal swanning about, you could read his Wikipedia page and be gobsmacked at the amount of things that he didn't really do or make success of or stick with for very long. At the end of the 70s, finally we get to it, folks, after having left wife number 3, became a cab driver in London, and his books were still not earning very much. The first book, somewhere here, in the Factory series, he died with his eyes open, came out in 1984 under the pen name of Derek Raymond. It's a pen name. He adopted that because he didn't want to be confused with either the American writer called Robin Cook or the Shadow Minister for Health, who was also called Robin Cook in Britain at the time. Just to say, the Factory series, they are police procedurals, and in which is an unnamed sergeant at the Met's Department of Unexplained Deaths, or A14. And A14 is not like Scotland Yard. It handles all the deaths of not famous people and lowlives and things that don't grab the attention or the newspapers, which are generally handled by the Serious Crimes Division. The sergeant is good at handling catching psychopaths, but he's extremely insubordinate, doesn't get on with any of his comrades or the top brass. He's only tolerated because he catches these evil bastards and gets success where not many other people do. And he where he goes where others even fear to tread. These are absolute crazy people that he goes after. The exchanges with his superiors in the books are absolutely fantastic and often hilarious because he just has no respect for them at all. So to give you an idea, The Devil's Home on Leave, Book 2, if I had to say that you read only one of these, this would be it. It reads like a screenplay. It's superbly well written. There is not a spare sentence in it, and yet you get all you need to know out of it. A man is found killed and parcelled up in 5 shopping bags in a multi-storey car park.
Nice.
Yeah. Probably the only one that could be remotely considered filmable, I have to say, because if you filmed any of the other ones, they'd have to pull their punches so much that you'd miss out on a lot of the horror. It would be pretty scary. Not very nice. But they're definitely psychopaths that he's after. So he went on to write 3 more from that, How the Dead Live. And the book 4 is I Was Dora Suarez, which people may have heard of. Because the London rock band Gallon Drunk, the London rock band, collaborated with Derek Raymond on an album in which he narrates parts of that book. It's basically about the murder of a sex worker who is Dora and her old lady friend by a serial killer, quite repulsive in places. Again, you need a strong disposition to read most of these things, but they are, for anyone interested in noir novels, they are pretty much essential. It should be read by all those into noir, but be those with a strong disposition. So he went on to write more after that, having got a certain measure of fame, and he wrote one called Nightmare in the Street in 1988, which was only published in 2006. It features a French policeman called Kleber, who has many of the characteristics of the unnamed detective sergeant in the Factory novels. He also wrote a kind of memoir called Hidden Files. That was 1992, which tells you much more about him personally and his attitudes and the books he wrote. The last one, as I said to you the other week, I was waiting for a book to arrive because I found it on Abe Books. Is not till the Red Fog Rises, which is about a hard man called Gust, who's on parole after serving 10 years for armed robbery and gets tangled up with the machinery of the state and a whole array of villains, and who don't generally come off best when they meet up with Gust, I have to say. There is a film, there's one film of He Died with His Eyes Open, which is a French film, which I've not seen. I was trying to track that down. It stars Charlotte Rampling and Michel Serrault, who I've not heard of, but I've heard of Charlotte, obviously. And I want to track that down.
Yeah, good stuff.
So, yeah, that's Derek Raymond. Do read the Wikipedia.
I made a note to do that. Yeah, that's great.
He has much more on his an amazingly ill-led life.
Right.
And as I say, if you can find a Factory novel on ebook,
I'll look out for them.
Definitely
going to have a go at one of them.
Try one. Yeah.
Good stuff. So that was our first complete works. People, if you've got any complete works, I suspect that most people will have bands or recording artists that they will know the complete works of more than anything else, but maybe not. Maybe you know the complete works of a painter or something. I don't know.
Could be anything.
Let us know.
Yeah.
A couple of telly things. So obviously I watched the Tour de France thing, as I said earlier. Just over the last week or so, three different people have said to me, have you watched that thing, Colin from Accounts? Have you heard of this? The trailers were all over it. Oh, you have? Yeah. Okay. That's good.
Yeah.
So I thought I'll better give that a go. So I watched the first episode last night. So that's as far as I've got. It's going to be all right, I think. I don't know. What do you reckon?
I'm we watched the whole thing. And I started off thinking, it's just not my thing at all.
Yeah.
And I watched the whole thing. So there you go.
There you go. Right. Okay.
Husband and wife actor team.
Oh, are they? I didn't know that. Australian.
Yeah.
It's an Australian show.
It is an Australian show, and it came here obviously quite quickly. And we did, as a house, watch the whole thing.
I thought the kids could watch it as well. It didn't seem too.
No.
It's on TVNZ Plus over here, and I think it's on Netflix in the UK. I think
possibly.
Anyway, it's called Colin from Accounts. It's about a couple that, well, they're not a couple of strangers that meet when the guy accidentally hits a dog with his car because he gets distracted while driving, shall we say. And
the dog lives, folks.
The dog lives. But they kind of have to look after the dog. That's all I know so far. But and I've also noticed, I haven't watched it yet, but maybe this weekend there's a new documentary on Netflix about Wham! ! Exclamation mark.
I have seen that, and I have marked it down for watching as well. So maybe we'll both have got round to that by next time.
Hopefully this weekend. It's
cool.
I'm getting more and more affectionate for the old 80s bands, or more and more respect. Having more and more respect for them as I've gotten older. When I was a kid, I was a teenager throughout the 80s, and I just thought they were just pop stars that appeared on top of the pops and didn't do much. But I started to appreciate that they were songwriters and musicians, and and all that.
Creative folks.
Yeah, they were. I didn't really think about that. Yeah. So we've got a few minutes left. We should talk about Glastonbury a little bit.
Well, there we go with an 80s person that we previously really wasn't, all that concerned about. Let's say Rick Astley's performance of the Smiths'
brilliant
Canon with Blossoms, who are a rock band from Stockport near Manchester, was one of the best.
Who would have thought in 1989 if you said one day that lad there is going to be doing brilliant stuff. We need to talk about Elton John. Obviously, it was phenomenal, right? Some of the guest appearances I'm not so sure about, but it was phenomenal. All those hits, one after the other. And it got me thinking a little bit about, so he's a legend. We won't see him around much longer on stage. And, all these other legends that are, Rolling Stones and all these people that are out there doing these things. And Glastonbury always has someone of that ilk, don't they? Paul McCartney even, he's in that bracket.
Yeah.
Will we have those legends in Glastonbury 2045? Who's going to be doing the legends spot when Elton and Paul and all them are all gone? Will there be legends? Who's it going to be? Ed Sheeran? Who's it going to be? I don't know. Or will it be like I don't know, will bands like Foo Fighters, I don't know, still be around? Are they legends? I don't know. It's I don't think we're going to have legends, are we, in 20 or 30 years' time? Because it's a bit more...
It will be interesting. I obviously just be talking about Taylor Swift.
She'll be one.
Possibly.
Probably.
Yeah. Maybe the solo artists would be the ones. The big solo artists now who can fill stadiums will still be filling stadiums because... But you would entirely understand if they just went, well, done enough now.
Yeah, exactly. There's so much money in it. I don't know if we won't have the likes of Rod Stewart and what have you. I mean, it would have been, I suppose, people like George Michael would have fallen into that category. Yeah. When they're in their 60s. He just would have turned 60 last week, right, George Michael? So anyway.
Never say never. Maybe Hosier will still be doing it in 20 years' time. Who knows?
Yeah. Or the 1975.
I'm not entirely serious with that comment.
Maybe tell. A couple more things very quickly. He opened with Pinball Wizard, Elton.
Yes.
Got me thinking. I wonder how many pinball machines there are between Soho and Brighton.
Ooh.
If you wanted to play them all. I bet there's... What's the road? The A23? What's the road?
It's just the A23.
Yes. A23 from Soho down to Brighton. I bet there isn't one pinball machine on that road.
Croydon,
there might be one in Croydon, yeah. And the one near the airport. What's that town called? Anyway, I just don't reckon there's any. And why did they choose Soho down to Brighton as in that song?
Well, that's where the mods used to go, didn't it?
Ah, of course. Of course.
I mean, they were.
They were, of course they
were. Slightly mod,
Modish.
Yeah.
Modish. And finally, Kate Blanchett, slight Glastonbury link there. Did you see her do the thing with Sparks?
Yes,
yeah, brilliant.
doing the thing with Sparks.
Great stuff.
Very good.
Did you know she made a cameo appearance in Hot Fuzz?
No.
Neither did I until last week. She does
okay.
a cameo. You know, there's that bit where they're at a crime scene and they're all in hazmat suits, all in white suits doing... She's one of them. Right. Peter Jackson's also in it as well.
Yeah.
In Hot Fuzz. So cameo appearances in films, folks. Let us know.
Who's the stormtrooper? I forgot who it was. Who's the stormtrooper?
Yeah.
Come on. Yeah. We should be reminded by somebody famous is in a stormtrooper outfit.
Yeah, you're right.
I can't quite remember who that is.
Oh, it's George Lucas. Is it?
No. There's an actually thing going on in there, I think. Can't quite remember who it is. Someone will tell me.
Yeah. Anyway, done on my list. Sorry, you got any more?
Just one more, really. It's an album. I know we were on with the Betty LaVette album last time around, and there's another soul album that popped up on Twitter with a couple of guys, Ian and Mark, otherwise known as Acoustic Eggbox, and Monkey Picks, and they were talking about the new album from Acantha Lang, which is called Beautiful Dreams, and if you want a Gladys Knight styled, smooth soul singer, not a growler, she doesn't overplay things. She doesn't try to stuff too many notes into the songs. She just lets the songs breathe. And she's from New Orleans and she's based in London. And I've been listening to that record.
Great.
And it's great. So we'll put another link up with a couple of singles from that. There's a live session. There's a little live session on a playlist, and she's very, very good indeed.
Oh, we'll give that a listen. I did listen to the Betty Lafayette one, Betty LaVette one last week. Yeah. Good stuff.
And that's me. We're done, innit?
We're done. I've also written down on my list here Threads. So I clicked the button last night on Instagram. Do you want Threads? I went, yeah, go on. I'll have a bit of Threads.
Don't unclick
it. Yeah, you can't. Yeah, I'm in now, aren't I?
Yeah, you can't retire from. No. There you go, folks. If you go into Threads, folks, on the back of your Instagram, don't be tempted to cancel it because it will kill your Instagram as well. Apparently. So that's one way of getting everyone to stay in, isn't it, and bump up their numbers. Yeah.
It looked exactly the same as Twitter, and I went into it, and it's lively and it's buzzing along. I don't know how long people have been on it, but it's just there. But I'm tired of the whole thing. I don't really do anything on social media anymore. I don't even look at it some days. I'm a bit over it all. No. But there we go. All right, I reckon we said enough. So reach out to us on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram, not on Threads because we're not there yet, but we might if you think we should.
On YouTube, you can comment on YouTube.
You can comment on YouTube. Do that. Comment on that on our YouTube videos.
Cool.
Because why not? And I reckon you should say goodbye, Captain.
Goodbye, Captain.
See you later, folks. Have a good time. Whatever you choose to do. Yeah, mighty well.